We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on the Miami Dolphins offense versus the Washington Commanders. This early game in Madrid was very weird for the offense. I think they had an inconsistent day. They were able to move the ball fairly well. They just struggled with finishing. We're going to go over all the details. Definitely a frustrating game to watch, but much easier, I will say, much easier to watch the next day when it was a win, having these types of days. And that's something I do think, it is tough to win in the NFL, and it can be very frustrating at times to watch some of the stuff that's going on. But a win is a win. You see teams around the league pretty much every week, lose games that they shouldn't lose, or barely pull out wins versus teams that are quote unquote worse. And I think the Dolphins probably should have won this a little cleaner if they were able to convert in the red zone. But able to pull out an ugly win is always nice. So we're gonna break this down. Dolphins found a lot of success running the ball. Didn't really put too much in the passing game. It was pretty clear that the Commanders came, with a game plan to stop some things. Certain players, Achane was played phenomenal. Not Cole Strange's best performance, as you'll see from some of this stuff. It was a weird Tua game because I wouldn't say Tua played bad or good. Like, it was one of the games where I felt like he was not as impactful in terms of like positive or negative impact. Like, he didn't really make too many like mistakes that negatively impacted the game. He didn't make too many like super positive impact plays. Usually don't see that for the Dolphins. Like, Tua, they kind of live and die on the offense by Tua, but they put a lot on the shoulders of that run game, and they were able to move the ball, just really struggled to finish. Ollie was able to get in there eventually. We'll get into stick around to the end of the video to see all of the, because there's a lot of things going on here at the end when it comes to them going for it on 4th and goal. Everything leading up to it that I think ended up leading to that decision. And there is a logical reason to why McDaniel went for it. But I still disagree with that. And I think it's pretty dumb that he went for it. I got to make that clear. I do understand the reasoning behind it, but I don't care based on what was going on in that game. So let's break this down. Go over where the Dolphins went right and went wrong in this game. So toss play to the right. Dolphins really excelled in crack toss to the right in this one. Achane had multiple explosives, especially early on. Love them coming out in this look. Dolphins very creative. That it wasn't McDaniel's best game in terms of play calling or decision making, but the play design was on point. Like, a lot of his play design was so good. I'll get to a lot of it, but I love how he comes out ready here. You get your receiver ready to crack down on this edge. You basically have Ollie out here lead blocking this, offset 6 offensive linemen that you're using as like a fullback. He comes back on the backside, and you get Larry Borum out in space, lead blocking. Same with Ollie. Really solid job there. Cedric Wilson on the edge, and then also look at Brewer. This should not be possible. Aaron Brewer is a freak. The fact that he, on a toss play here, gets out there who on Frankie Louvu, who's a good linebacker, pancakes him when Louvu has a full player over leverage. Like, he is lined up head up with the right guard, and Brewer is able to get out there and reach him like it's nothing at the second level. That's not normal. That's insane levels of play. They almost call it, look at this ref down here. He's ready to throw a flag. You can see he almost threw a flag on Brewer there on that pancake. I would have been pissed because that was not holding. He absolutely finished in that situation. So Dolphins moving the ball. They had a couple nice runs. A nice completion on this drive to Waddle. Some definite solid takeaways, and then they hurt themselves again. 3rd and 2. Now this is a 3rd and 2 situation, and basically the story of a lot of these certain shorts is Cole Strange getting blown up, just losing his rep at the point of attack. Now, it is interesting. They didn't give Ollie Gordon every 3rd and short rush. This is one I would have given him because I actually think if he's in this one, he gets it. There's a few other ones where he probably wouldn't have gotten it anyways, and there's some that he didn't get either when he was in the game. So I'm not sure if it mattered too much in the grand scheme of things. But this is a situation where you go for a 3rd and 2. I like running the ball on 3rd and 2 here, basically giving yourself hey, if we don't get it, we can still go for it on 4th down, especially where you are at in the field. It's just Strange loses his point of his block here. They're basically down blocking, you get the pulling, running some gap scheme, and he just gets over out on his skis, loses playing, not with his feet beneath him, and then the defensive tackle is able to shed and make that. And then after the fact that Dolphins were going to go for it, give the handoff to Ollie. They had Ollie in the game. But they got a delay of game, so they're forced to settle for 3. So just another scenario where they're forced to settle for 3. Here, motion Julian Hill, toss to the right. You get crack toss again. You get all. This time you have Ollie out here, which is an interesting little nugget. They have Ollie ready to go to crack down on a D tackle. This is so interesting with how the Dolphins are able to do stuff. So, they're like in a 3-4 here. He's a 3-4 D, and the guy's lineup is a 4-I, and you are cracking down on a 4-I, which is so interesting. And Ollie does a fairly good job. I mean, that's a much bigger player. He does his job. He gets tossed aside. And then you get Dulcich, who does a good job on Frankie Louvu. And then you get Larry Borum and Cole Strange on space. Probably Strange's best block there. And you get a nice lane to work with for Achane. Very, very good work there. Then here, nice big... One of the bigger plays on the field where they actually get some pretty good protection for Tua to convert. This is a big third down conversion. And this is something the Dolphins desperately needed because throughout the game, you could tell like they were right here. So they're running like cover 1, where he's playing deep middle of the field, and they're playing man to man. But they're running cover 1 2 rat. So both linebackers staying in the middle of the field to really take away this quick throw to Waddle, because Waddle's 1-on-1, but these linebackers, that's where Tua is looking. He wants to go when the Dolphins get man to man. They want to go to Waddle because Waddle is pretty much their only man to man beater on the team. But he's not able to kind of get open there just because these guys are taking away that middle of the field. You might be able to throw it in between them with timing. Not worth the risk. Tua gets time in the pocket, so he resets. And Malik gets a really nice win on a deep out route versus outside leverage. Not easy. So really nice to see when Malik can make these types of plays. It's something I wanted to see more out of him, and is getting more of these opportunities, because I do think out of the other receivers, he's the one with the best opportunity to get open versus man coverage. And like, as this, DB has outside leverage, really good job at the top of his route here, giving a little wiggle there, and then sinking those hips. Really good sinking the hips, work into that blind spot, and get open and create separation. Malik had a good game. I would think this was one of his better games as a receiver too. Had multiple big impact plays. Unfortunately, some miscues here for Miami. Really, like, Dolphins love to run seam rail slide RPO. So this is the seam rail slide RPO. He's the slide. Julian Hill is the seam, and then Dulcich is the rail. I don't think I've ever seen the Dolphins run it like this, where they're running it with like 2 down tight ends and then the fullback motion across. I actually kind of like the wrinkle because they get this look, and when you have them tight like this, like, you can hit this rail route on the leverage. It just looks like him and Dulcich are not on the same page. Like, he wants Dulcich to really, get out more horizontally, but I think Dulcich gets a little more vertical than he's expecting. So I like that this is where Tua puts it, because you want to put it away from the defenders, but I think he still could have made a little more of an accurate throw, and I think Dulcich could have been in a better position. He is a newer player to the team, didn't start the year with them, and they're just not on the same page, and that could have been a potential touchdown missed opportunity for the Dolphins. Just a couple of missed opportunities on this. Here's another one where they get the sack, 3rd and goal. The Commanders just make a good play. Like, you get the call. This guy comes in unblocked. Now, I probably would like to see Tua throw this to Achane. Even if he throws it, I'm not sure. Like, this guy is in a spot there to potentially make a play, like to close down on it. And I understand why he, maybe he wants to make this guy miss instead. It's just, man, if this defender wasn't like right in his face and read it like perfectly, he probably could have either hit Achane right away, or if he holds on to it, Dulcich, I think, is going to be open here for a touchdown if Tua is able to hit him out there in stride. Just some missed opportunities that then, leave some points on the field, and they end up holding to a field goal. Something the Dolphins have actually been really good at all season. The Dolphins, I believe, going into the game were like pretty much, I think they were flawless on goal-to-goal situations, scoring touchdowns. And then they were not good in this game. They were like 1 for 3, or maybe even 1 for 4. And then, the next drive, the Dolphins actually end up going 3 and out. It's like the first time they didn't really move the ball. Commanders, bring in a corner blitz here off to his blind side. And Ingold, like, I feel like when you have this, you need to have answers. I just feel like the Dolphins don't have an answer for this. Like, one, I guess the answer for, like, you need your hot route would be Ingold, potentially. But if Ingold's going to be in a hot route, he's just got to get out right away to be ready for the route. But he, like, throws a block, kind of whiffs it, and then gets out. And now it's too late because even if Tua throws this angle, this guy's now in position to come down and make that tackle and wouldn't be complete. And nothing else is open. And then Tua tries to spin out of it. And, I guess, sometimes defenses end up having the perfect play call for what you got, but that's just something that they missed. Big downfield play for the Dolphins. Really good job from Tua and Waddle on a first down and 10 play action. Hit that back foot. Really good timing and anticipation. Tua is really throwing this one with conviction. This middle field safety tries to get there, but Tua throws it so early with such good placement that Waddle's able to catch it in stride. Wasn't Waddle's best game. He had a couple drops and, hadn't really had too many drops this season. But this is an example of an improvement for him. I feel like in the past, when he catches this, he would have, gone down pretty quickly because, either he would have, kind of jumped to secure the ball, but he catches this ball in stride with his hands, and while he does this, it allows him to avoid the hit from the safety and pick up that yak with some anticipation, and also does a really good job avoiding the next guy, getting skinny, protect the ball. This guy's now in pursuit, and you're able to maximize your yak opportunity in that situation. Really big play from them. As I'm saying, they were moving the ball, but now it doesn't matter. Because then you get down here, Dolphins decide to run some counter, with tight end fullback leading the way, and this is just a Julian Hill whiff. We get Julian Hill back this game, and he had some good blocks, but Julian Hill just gets tossed aside by Frankie Luvu, and then it leaves Alec Ingold with a decision where he's like, oh god, now because he's supposed to be the lead guy, and Julian Hill's supposed to kick out, and they both end up kind of just whiffing, and Ollie Gordon has no opportunity, and now you're 4th and goal from the 2, you try to throw it, just barely missed opportunity. Tua starts reading to the left, nothing's open. I know it's not showing here, but there was nothing open there. So he comes back to the right, and he makes the right decision. It's just Bobby Wagner, he makes a great play. I got to give him credit, fully going out for that. I think if maybe Tua waited a literal, not literally a millisecond more, he could have completed it. Because this is one of those things where it's if you wait a millisecond more, you can't wait too long because then these guys are going to get in the picture and potentially hit Waddle on the opposite side. I don't think the throw is bad or anything. Maybe if you put it a half an inch to the left, it would have been completed. But I think the thing was if you just waited a literal millisecond more, it would have given you that chance for Waddle to create a little more separation. And then it wouldn't have, I don't think he would have floated too much into the other defenders. But, that's a problem sometimes in red zone situations. You got to be absolutely perfect, and they were just a little bit off there. But I think the problem was more leading up to that and not finishing in your short yardage runs and missing blocks. Here, I think this is the drive they finally get it going. You get Malik on a 3rd down. Malik just, he doesn't even really run anything. He just literally breaks the inside. They give him off leverage. You get exactly what you want. Tua recognizes this guy ends up coming on the blitz. He recognizes that. This is where your hot route is. You take it all day long. And then Malik does a good job after the catch, breaking tackles. We know Malik. It's kind of just built like a running back, breaks tackles very easily. And then very interesting slip screen. This is what I love about the Dolphins concepts. So they get Malik in the backfield. Achane out wide, and usually when teams do this, you're thinking okay, they're going to try to throw the ball to this receiver. But with the Dolphins, with how they use Malik and how they use Achane, they could literally do anything. They could hand it off to Malik. They could run reverse to Achane. They could throw it to Achane down the field. These guys can do a lot of different stuff. So teams aren't really thinking anything special, so you can just throw a screen to him. You motion Dulcich this way, and then you also pull the left guard Jonah, and then look at Tua's footwork. He opens up to the right, comes back to the left he's going to do what they've been doing. They pull the right guard. You have people, looking like they're jump setting like this. You get Brewer looking like he's jump setting. And it looks like the Dolphins, in this spot, this looks like the Dolphins' typical play action where they reset the pocket with Tua, and he's going to throw the ball down the field. So they are really selling that perfectly. But now you get to go out there and then throw the slip screen back to Malik the opposite way, and you get Brewer being that lead blocker, because realistically, Brewer is the only one you actually end up needing in this situation, and you get a nice gain there for Malik in that spot. This was a huge play. I know this play, Achane gets a ton of credit, and he should, but I don't even think people are giving him enough credit. of how important it was in the game, because like it's an insane play that this jet sweep that they're selling gets read perfectly by the Commanders. They play it perfectly. They see it coming all the way. They have the outside leverage. The fact that Achan turns this play that would have been like a 7-yard loss into an 8-yard gain is huge, because they scored a touchdown on this drive, and that was to tie the game. That is a huge, huge individual effort from Achan. And then they end up finishing Ollie Gordon here. Really solid job finishing. Dolphins actually blocked this better up front. Getting downhill better by Strange. Good job here from Borum, Brunskill, and then Julian Hill. Julian Hill knew this time. Last time on the short yardage at the goal line, he failed his block. This time as the lead blocker, he's the one who really is the catalyst. He takes Bobby Wagner off his spot, and Gordon gets downhill. And you can tell, look at Julian Hill. Julian Hill was celebrating like as he's getting up. He knew it was going to be a touchdown. Really, really big stuff there. Then this drive from the Dolphins, definitely a miss from Waddle. Not his greatest game. I mean, Waddle's been playing really, really good, but a big drop here on a second, because this is 2nd and 13. If he catches this, it ends up being like 3rd and 3. Dolphins have a 3rd and manageable. Then now it's 3rd and long. Nothing's open. Tua gets sacked on the next play. So just a missed opportunity. Obviously didn't end up mattering, because after this, the Dolphins punt and get that lucky punt recovery. Okay, here we are. We're to the big part of the game. This is what, needs to be talked about. This is the drive that ends with the 4th and goal to go for it when you should have taken the field goal to go for the lead. And I think it starts back here. From this play is when it starts. Great run from Achan, but I think this was probably Achan's not his best decision. This is like the one critique I give to Achan is you got to understand the situation here. Like, you get the first down in this situation, you got to stay in bounds. You either score, go for the touchdown, or you got to stay in bounds. Like, he's got to cut this to the inside. Like, going out of bounds here was a big mistake, because you either would have forced Washington to use a timeout, or it would have ran down to the 2-minute warning, and you would have like guaranteed an extra 30, 40 seconds off the clock, which would have been, I think this is a big reason why Mike might have gone for it, because of the time left on the clock. If they had a less time, I think he would have just taken the field goal. And this is the first start of that. So they leave some time there on the clock. Now we get to the 3rd and goal situation. 2nd and goal, Achan made a really good play getting out of the 1. They leave Achan in the game. So this is a situation where it probably would have Ollie in. I don't think it ends up mattering that much, because like this defensive tackle absolutely dominates Cole Strange. Like, now Ollie might have got, like, I mean, he would have had a better chance of getting in. I don't think so. Like, this 99 has like meets him pretty deep. Like, Ollie would have had to really force his way through, and then Wagner also gets there. It would have been difficult. But this is a also big situation to notice, because not only do they not get in, the Dolphins ran the ball here, and I think they were actually fine not getting in, but Achan gets hurt. So under 2 minutes, Washington's out of timeouts. Achan gets hurt, so that stops the clock. So instead of it being like a minute 10 left on the clock, or like it would have been even less, it would have been closer to a minute. It ends up being a minute 44 because of the Achan injury, because it forces you to use your timeout, so the clock stops. So I think that's another reason that McDaniel decided to go for it. So I think this is the logic behind going for it. I'll explain the logic, and I'll still explain why I think it's a bad decision. The logic is, now that they have enough time to get down the field and very easily tie it, especially if you kick a field goal here, you give the Commanders 4 downs, because then they're just going to go for it on 4th down until they get into field goal range to tie it, So then the Commanders had been pretty much moving the ball against you all game. They hadn't really finished for touchdowns, but they had been moving the ball, and especially so with an extra down, them tying the game and getting in field goal range seems very, very likely. But what happens? So I think that's a reason, like the logic behind it. You decide to go for the touchdown with the timing left. If the timing was less, then you might be like, okay, let's just kick the field goal. But the reason, I still think you should not do that, even with the timing and the whole 4 down thing, is you hadn't been successful all game. If you had been successful in converting this stuff, then I would have found this more understanding. But you had not been successful, and then what happens? Cole Strange gets blown up at the point of attack, pretty much. Also, Brunskill loses in the 6th alignment look. Frankie Louvu blowing up the game again. They are the main culprits in this situation, losing their blocks. And yeah, that pretty much gives Ollie Gordon absolutely no opportunity to even convert there. No one else really shines on the offensive line, but no one else is getting blown up as badly as those two in that spot. Fortunately, you get very lucky. The Commanders miss the long field goal attempt, and then Jack Jones gets the pick, and then you get a couple nice run attempts here. You show the last one, Achan doing a really good job. I feel like Achan really saw it well, found cutback lanes, hit, bang through those lanes. Definitely gonna, have videos throughout the week. I'm probably gonna have an Ollie Gordon video out tomorrow with the defensive video. Probably gonna stream later today at some point, so keep an eye out for that. And then I'll have videos out throughout the week. Probably Kenneth Grant video. Get a video on Jonah because I haven't done that in a while. Grant had some nice flashes in this game again. Uh, and yeah, just probably have a Jack Jones video out at some point this week. We have a bye week coming out, so I can spread out these videos a little bit. A little bit more. So yeah, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys want to see. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Until next time. Peace.